What is going on, everyone? It is Tyler McKinney back here again, and it looks like the XFL doesn't have exclusive rights to play with the NFL. Looks like the NFL is willing to play with other partners in this as well. And let's get right down to it. We've got an article from Mike Florio today, and he gives us some interesting information, some tidbits to chew on here. It looks like the NFL hasn't really been dating exclusively with the XFL. Looks like that they're fine with testing the waters with all of these other spring leagues and seeing what's out there and trying to help them along, and that includes the USFL. So, Fox Corporation CEO Lachlan Murdoch, hopefully I pronounced that right, but we're just going to go, we're going to say CEO Murdoch, was speaking at Morgan Stanley's Technology, Media, and Telecom Conference. That is a mouthful, but this is what he said, and these are really interesting comments that are made here. The NFL has actually been tremendously helpful to us in thinking through and setting up the USFL. Now, and this is what he said according to Dad Hayes of Deadline.com. They haven't tried to obscure it at all. In fact, it's the opposite. They've helped us. So, and there's a couple other things that I do want to mention here. Murdoch said that the financial risk to us is not significant, but the upside and opportunity is significant. And I would definitely agree with him there. And the comment that he's made, with that Fox has calculated this thing out and figured out that, they've got, what I think it was $150 million they've invested in for 3 years of football. And I think that they'll probably get their money out of it. And I think that they're going to make a viable league at the end of it, even though it's not anywhere near what the excitement for the XFL when it restarted at 2.0. I do think that this is going to be successful, and it's probably going to be the one that will probably stick around. I think that the USFL and the XFL definitely both have good shots of sticking around. But right now, I would say the USFL probably has a leg up just because of, Fox's interest in football and where they are with it. But this is a huge, huge statement to make that they've been since the inception of putting together the USFL, they have been working with the NFL to put this thing together. So they've got the expertise of the NFL helping them to put together their league, which is really huge. That's a big deal. And it really shows kind of where the NFL is sitting at. The NFL, they've always been this kind of, when it comes to spring leagues, when it comes to this thing, they're intrigued by it. They like it. But they don't want any skin in the game. Part of it has to do with just the liability. They don't want to take a chance on, a possible asset to them getting injured, getting hurt. Football is probably the most violent sport out there, and, players get hurt constantly. That's why you see very, very limited contact in practice. You see quarterbacks, are guarded pretty much with their life at practice. You cannot touch them. I mean, it is kind of almost comical and silly, that fact and that aspect of things in the NFL that, outside of game day, you don't see tackling, you don't see that type of stuff because they're trying to keep guys from getting hurt. And so the NFL has kind of, for them, it doesn't really make sense to kind of flow in that lane. And especially, when you start getting into their, the players union and the agreement that they have with them and how much they have to pay players, and that with it really starts to get really dicey with it, to where it's just like, let somebody else kind of deal with that developmental thing, and we'll kind of keep our practice thing together. But we'll definitely help them along, and I see that here. This is probably what's happening with that. The other thing is that, listen, whatever you want to put out there, whatever you want to say, Fox and NFL are like this. Fox is the, pretty much the number one purchaser of NFL content. They are by far the biggest, the largest. So, they have vested interest in each other. And so it only makes sense that the NFL would help them out in this situation. And it really, at the end of the day, you scratch my back, I scratch your back. Fox is making money off the NFL, and if Fox can get this league going up and running, then, you know, it can be a feeder league into the NFL, and the NFL can feed off of that, and pretty much it's a mutual agreement. You know, they both make money off of this venture together, and, you know, it makes sense for them to work well with one another and to be there for them. So it doesn't surprise me, but it is kind of surprising that in a conference, in a public state, you know, setting, stage as this, that a CEO would make a comment like this. And why it's not getting more traction, I don't know, but it just shows that definitely the NFL is, you know, they've got their eye on this. They've got their, you know, and they're watching this stuff very, very closely. They're very, very intrigued by it. They're very, very interested in it. They just don't want the liability, and they don't want the ownership of it. But I think that they truly do want to see this succeed, because I think that they're trying to figure out a way to develop their players without taking on that liability, and this just might be it for them, whether it be the USFL, whether it be the XFL, whether it be MLFB, anywhere else that they can, get players the experience that they need to, develop them, to take them to the next level with that. So I'd love to know your thoughts down in the comment section, what you think about the statement, what you think about what it means now with the agreement that, the XFL and the NFL have made. Does it change your thoughts on anything? I'd like to know down there. All right, guys, listen, I know that you're busy, and I know that I'm busy, so let's get on out of here. You have a good night. Bye.